Risk management, a fascinating topic within the project management that is covered heavily in the PMP exam. So a thorough understanding of what the risk management process looks like is kind of essential to pass the PMP exam. Hi, I am Daud Nasir, project management coach and trainer. In this video, I will discuss the risk management process, especially from PMP exam point of view. I will explain how this process flows from the start to end and what is the work the project manager and the project team have to take up at different stages. The process in a nutshell consists of 6 steps. It starts when the team identifies the project risks. The team then records these identified risks on the risk register, which is commonly known as risk log. When we look at the PMBOK guide, it seems that the identify risks process is the only time the project team identifies the risks. A deeper review will reveal that it is not the case. There are at least 19 other times the team may end up identifying new risks. Let me give you a few examples. When the team is executing the work and creating the deliverables, when the project manager is monitoring and controlling the project work, when developing and controlling schedule, estimating costs and determining the budget, identifying stakeholders, and then monitoring their engagement, or when managing communications. These and many other activities can result in risk identification. There can be many risks listed on the risk register. Not all risks are critical. Not all of them are high priority, and not all of them require to be attended to. So as the second step, the project team prioritizes these risks. This prioritization is qualitative or subjective in nature. It can be as simple as a judgmental call by the team saying that risk 1 is low priority, risk 2 is high priority, and so on. But many organizations have standard ways defined for the very purpose of risk prioritization. The most common method, which is addressed in detail in PMBOK guide and which is the one I have seen practiced widely, is the PI matrix method. The project team uses a combination of 2 factors, probability and impact, to decide risk priority. PMBOK mentions several other parameters, though very few of those I have personally seen in use. So the project may use different scales for prioritization, but the simplest one is calling the risk a high, medium, or low priority risk. Another similar one is red, yellow, and green risk, representing the 3 types, high, medium, and low. Now the question is, what do we do next with this prioritized list? The next step project team will take up is quantify the high priority risks. This quantification is mostly in money terms, but it may also be effort or duration wise. The objective here is to come up with how much money the project should have to manage these high priority risks. There are several techniques that can be used for this purpose. Straightforward expected monetary value calculations, sensitivity analysis, decision tree analysis, and Monte Carlo simulation. The money identified for managing risks is set up as contingency reserve. Now the project team cannot stop here. It is not that the identified risk occurs and the team will take money out of the contingency reserve and start throwing it out to manage the risk. There needs to be a plan of how to use that money to deal with the risk, if it ever occurs. So the 4th step is plan the risk responses. Here, the team will first decide what will be the strategy to respond to a risk. Are they going to accept, mitigate, transfer, or avoid the negative risk and adopt an appropriate strategy to manage the positive risk? Once the strategy is agreed to, then the team decides on a response plan or response actions and also identifies who will be the owner of the risk. Step 5 consists of 2 aspects. One is that owner has to continually monitor the risk so that when it is the time, the owner can initiate and implement the response plan that was agreed to. On a small project with very few team members, project manager may be the owner of all the planned risks, but in larger teams, the responsibility is shared by various team members. Then the project manager in those cases mostly focuses on keep reminding the risk owners to keep track of the risks, and when a risk occurs, project manager ensures appropriate resources as per the plan are engaged to implement the response. Now comes the 6th step, monitoring the risks. If a risk response was implemented, it is time to check if that was a good response or not. Was it an effective plan? What did we miss? how we can improve our remaining and upcoming risk response plans. Ongoing throughout the project, the team may identify new risks, so those risks must go through the same sequence of prioritizing, quantifying, planning, and implementing. So monitoring of risk ensures that all that happens. One method is to perform risk audit of the risks that have occurred. The project manager is also to ensure the whole risk management process is working effectively for the benefit of the project. If there is any issue or weakness that comes up during the audit or reviews, the project manager and the project team may suggest a change request to correct or prevent it. Do you think the monitor risks is the only time when risks are reviewed? No, not at all. The project manager and the project team may review risks when conducting several other activities. For example, when working on the deliverables, reviewing progress of the project and generating project performance report, when estimating costs, planning quality management, planning procurement management, conducting procurement, and estimating and controlling activity resources. So work through this video and understand the risk management process really well, because you will see several questions on this in the PMP exam. Thanks for watching and good luck.